Hello, feared me cat here. I'm sorry by the way if the sound isn't very good this time. It's just because basically I had to readjust the levels for the Star Trek game, which has my voice much louder for some reason. So my voice might be a little too loud or a little too quiet this time. I have adjusted it, but I don't know how loud my voice is going to be this time. So anyway, that's the style photos taken care of, I guess. And yes, for some reason I get this one too, although I don't really need the magic powder. I don't know. Anyway, yes. Hello. This is episode 31. Personally, I thought that jar was nowhere near the ferry, so I don't know why that worked, but it's great that it did. Well, normally I would practice once with a recording of whatever it is I would have to say, and in this particular case I've decided not to. So I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff, on the spur of the moment, commentary, recording. I think I realised that one of these had a key in it, and so that's why I left the room and then came back. I probably looked at the strategy guide during the brief time I was out of the room. So even the strategy guide I used for this can be confusing sometimes. There's a couple of points where it sort of steered me wrong to some extent, which reminds me of something I want to say about the editing here, which is, again, I have come up with a episode that overran by a lot. This is about 56 minutes, and I've cut it down to 30. I was hoping to cut it down to 25, but I didn't. So basically I made some mistakes that I haven't shown off here. Something I was thinking with that actually is how useful is showing them off. You know by now, if you've been following this, that I don't like to cover for my mistakes and pretend I'm perfect at this. You know that I'm not doing this commentary whilst playing, but this is post-commentary, so you know that I've edited some bits out. By the way, this is one of those bits where I made a lot of mistakes. I fell down a lot here, and I didn't see what the point in showing off that was. But it is actually surprisingly difficult to jump across these. So yeah, as I was saying, it seems to me that what is not helpful at all if you're trying to play the water temple based on what I'm telling you to do here, if you're watching this sort of whilst going through this game yourself, it occurs to me that it's not actually that helpful for me to show off the mistakes I made. So I kind of kept that in mind, as it were, and maybe, I don't know, used it as my excuse, I guess, for cutting out so many mistakes I made. There seems to be this a lot in Legend of Zelda games, this thing where you have to blow up the dongos by dropping these on them. We've already seen that in a previous temple, but it's also very common in a lot of the Legend of Zelda games. Certainly you can do it as an optional thing in Majora's Mask, and you have to do it in Link's Awakening, if I remember correctly. So, they're interesting, the Gongos. Interesting looking enemies, I like them. Mostly because they're lizards. And they're quite like lizards, I find them interesting. So there we go. As you can hear, there's still two of them up there. So I'm gonna have to take a break from recording these a few days next week. I'm gonna be unable to access my equipment for a bit, although I will hopefully be doing that because I'm having a good time. I don't want to give you a lot of details, but I don't want you to know I'm not possibly not occupied. But yes, if I'm recording anything next week, it will probably end up going on here slightly later because I'll have had less time to record things. That's another good reason for me to try to get this done today, and the only way to do that is to not rehearse. See, there were a few times where I fell over there, and this is actually a perfect example of when the game, sorry, not the game, the strategy guide, when the strategy guide isn't helpful. Because the strategy guide says that you should be able to use a hook shot to be able to get over this grid thing that's in front of Link, this metal grid, and you can't. You can't use the hook shot. I tried, and it's just not possible. Not just this way, but, well, you'll see in a second. So either if you go on boxes, stand on top of a box, the hook shot just doesn't reach it. Again, I really like the sort of pattern that the water makes on the ceiling here. That's just very cool. And quite well animated as well, I think. So, as I mentioned at the end of the previous episode, I could be going to the boss right now, but I'm collecting Skulltulas instead. So, what's going on? And so eventually I realised that the only way to get back into that room, since I couldn't go over the grid, was to just retrace my steps. I wasn't sure whether to show that off or not, but I thought, well, if you're retracing your steps, you might want to know how to get across here, or I don't know. I just decided to keep it in. Again, I just fell off this so many times trying to do this. See, we're now at the opposite side of the grate we're behind earlier. Yeah, these things make you go back to the previous point of the room that you were in. I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit sort of Zelda'd out at this point. I assure you that I will be continuing with these as long as people keep watching. I know there are some people who watch this, so that's good. But still, I guess, particularly after doing this dungeon so many times, but also since we're into episode 31 now, and I've probably been in this dungeon for several hours, I spent many hours on this game. I guess I'm getting a little tired of Legend of Zelda, to be honest. Probably why I'm not talking much right now. Although I have actually gotten a little bit of encouragement. I was talking to someone yesterday, someone I know, who I wasn't aware used to be a gamer. He gave up because he just didn't have the time anymore. But yes, he told me how useful he would have found it back when he was gaming to be able to watch a video like this, because at the time videos like this didn't exist. And in fact I told him that I wish I'd been the first person to think of recording Let's Plays, but no, it wasn't. But yeah, that sort of reminded me, it's very easy to think, well, you know, lots of people have done this before me. There's people with dozens of thousands. I'm not sure that's a weird number, dozens of thousands. I hope that number exists. Anyway, there's people with many hundreds of times more subscribers than I have, and I will continue talking about them in a minute. But first I'll tell you this. Okay, if you're playing along with me, you need to walk around this sort of perimeter of this building. You're outside. You'll come outside into the building from the room I was just showing off, and walk around it until you find this section here, where they will be outside it. There'll be two hookshot points, one that gets you in here and one that would get you higher up, except I don't think you can actually reach it when the water level's like this. And I haven't shown myself sort of walking around the perimeter in that way of the building, because I walked around it a lot before I could work out where I was supposed to go, and there didn't seem to be much point in me showing that off and just confusing people. So yes, you just need to walk around until you find this place with the 2 hookshot points outside it. And that room you might recognise as the room where last time I showed it off, and I said in the last episode, well, we won't need to go in this room again. It's just there to pick up supplies from the pots, and it seems I was wrong, and you do need to go in there. But yeah, as I was saying, it's easy with a limited number of subscribers, and I'm not complaining. Thank you very much for subscribing, and the limited number of people viewing this, to think, actually, is anyone watching this? Is there any point in me recording this? Am I just doing this for myself, or do I have an audience? So it's quite nice that he encouraged me. Again, please don't think that this is some sort of fishing for compliments thing, because it's not. I'm just telling you how I feel. But one way I feel is definitely okay. I'm getting a bit sort of not more Legend of Zelda. You know, that's the feeling that I've got at the moment. But I will continue as long as people want me to. I abandoned the Crash Bandicoot game, and I will not abandon this. Anyway, we have more sort of side quests coming up, and it'll be a long time before we enter another temple. And I don't know how you feel about that. Personally, after this temple, I'm quite bad, because this temple really does annoy me. I don't think I've been explaining very well how much this temple annoys me. I don't quite hate it as much as other people do, because I have a strategy guide, and so I know most of the time what I'm doing. But the music's terrible, it's still confusing, changing boots all the time is still irritating, and it's just very dull as well. It's a boring dungeon. A lot of it looks the same as every other part of it. And that, coupled with the boring music as well, just makes it not very pleasant to play. Fortunately, the boss is through here. I'm pretty certain actually that those statues aren't of Morpher, because when you actually look at it, it's the boss that's coming up. It doesn't look anything like them. So, I don't know if Ganondorf replaced what was originally in here with that. I don't know. It took ages to get the long shot in the right position to be able to hit this thing. I don't know why this thing is so annoying, but imagine to hit that crystal switch. It took at least 5 minutes more video than I'm showing here. But you can't, even if you're okay with being damaged, you can't climb up there, because these things are going so quickly that the first one would knock you down before you got high enough to reach the second one. So, in fact, no, I actually didn't even get the long shot to hit it. I forgot about that. The strategy guide says you're supposed to use a long shot to hit that, but eventually I used an arrow. And he would not fall off there either. I don't know why. When I don't want him to fall off all of those things, he's spectacularly good at it. But when I do want him to fall off, he can't. I don't know how Navi knows that. It looks like very ordinary water to me. It's water that's just water. Now, this is a very long introduction to Morph, although I do like the way they've done it from Morpher's point of view here. I think that works very well. It gives this great sense of menace of this thing coming up behind Link, but we can't see what the thing looks like. I think that works very well. We just get to see his reaction. I think that's a really cool moment. And then it turns out to be this. Claw made out of water with a sort of red spongy thing in the centre that hops around in a silly looking way. This is supposed to be an easy boss. Maybe it's the Let's Player's curse. I don't know. Maybe the Let's Player's curse still works even if you're doing post commentary. But this took me a long time to do, and so I've cut some of it out. I've actually cut out some of the times I hit him just because there's a very long cutscene coming up at the end of this. You're probably thinking right now, how on earth did this manage to last 30 minutes, this video, on the time that we've got now? But I just had to cut out 5 minutes of this because of how long the cutscene is. So I sort of jumped to the chase a bit and didn't show off all of the times I had to hit him with my sword. Him or her or it. So what you have to do, as you can see, is just grab the nucleus using the long shot and then cut it with your sword, though there are only certain times when you can grab it, so, and don't get grabbed by the tentacle. And it really shows you how much being grabbed by the tentacle hurts. I mean, it really rubs it in here by making this last as long as possible. Look how much I'm hurting Link. I will admit, they could have put more spikes here, or moving spikes or something like that, and that would have made it harder. I'm quite grateful they didn't. And maybe after Dark Link, they wanted to put something fairly easy in here. Easy and much less interesting. This is the best thing to do, to get it trapped in a corner. have a lot else to say right now. I don't know why they managed to put this staircase up on here when there's no water in here normally. In fact, why make this room at all? It's just... if there isn't normally water in it here, what's the point of this room? Let's build a room with a big hole in the centre for no apparent reason. I tend to think the sages tend to be quite sort of casual about the fact that they ended up being sages. Well, I didn't ask to guard this temple, but it looks like I am, so ho hum. Such things happen. Never gonna see my family or any of my friends again because I'm stuck guarding the temple. But it doesn't bother me much. I'll admit, they do sort of try to show that it's a bit of a burden, you know, by mentioning that Link won't be able to see them again. Not sure if Zeke said that or not, or if it was Navi. Presumably it was Navi because I don't think Link would be able to hear him until he sort of appeared here. Also, I'm not sure what Princess Ruju actually did to destroy it. Maybe there were more monsters there earlier on and she got rid of them before Link arrived. That's possible, but all she seemed to do was tell him, come in this direction and then float upwards and then disappear. And we're pretty much at the end of this episode now. We'll be doing some side quests next time. I like the fact that he's hiding in the tree. Anyway, I will see you in the next episode.